Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host, Paul James, today joined by Matto Phillips. How's things, mate?
As good as it can be.
For an Essendon supporter.
Well, that's the support, yeah.
This is the big
But
problem for our show. Like, if we talk footy straight beforehand, we're instantly gonna, like, especially if I've got the opportunity, I'm instantly gonna have a dig at your football club the moment the thing starts.
I'll have a dig at them too. I'm all for it.
Um, you could, throw bottles of water at the opposition team, as we saw from last night as well. I don't know if you've seen any footage of that. Some of your supporters throwing shit over the fence at some of the Gold Coast players. Good times. You're a good bunch, Essendon supporters.
I think you've thrown the wrong thing over. It's not the bottle you should be throwing over. You should be throwing your
Memberships.
scarf over, like memberships.
Like that other bloke from a few weeks back threw his membership and only for the umpire to pick it up and throw it back into the crowd. No, I don't even want this shit. Get it out of here. All right. Speaking of things that also disappoint, virtual reality. They had a crack at it decades ago. Didn't work. It came back in, the last 10 years when Oculus kind of launched their first, I can't remember, it was SDK 4 or something like that. But there was a whole range of iterations. We saw PlayStation VR come out. We've seen Valve put out the Index. We've seen a whole bunch of different options over the years, different games coming for it, different levels of investment. And then this week, cycling back to Meta, or Oculus and Meta and all that, Meta has killed off their, I guess, most prestigious talent in terms of studios. Ready at Dawn, who, I mean, I don't really know them for their VR work. I know that they've done like Lone Echo 2. They've been really, really good VR games, but I mostly think of them for the Order 1886, God of War, Ghost of Sparta, Daxter, a whole bunch of work they were doing with PlayStation back in the day. Well, Meta went and shut them down this week. And for me, with some other closures that we've seen, do you remember? There was a game called Firewall for PSVR a while back?
Yes.
And they put out Firewall Ultra for PSVR 2, and the studio was closed, I don't know, maybe 2 months later. PlayStation even putting out their little adapter, because it seems like they've kind of given up on PSVR 2 being a thing on PlayStation, so they're hoping that maybe they can, I don't know, justify some sales or maybe even clear out some excess stock by putting it on, making it a playable option for people on PC. It seems like VR's dead. Would you agree at the top level?
I think it was dead before it even started, because the one thing they said about VR when it first came out was it's going to replace consoles, and everyone just laughed and said, no, it's not. What a silly idea that was. Because back then, when they were first doing it, there were cables coming out everywhere.
The PlayStation 1 was particularly bad.
That was a problem. Motion sickness was another problem with those VRs. It's gotten better now, but early days wasn't that promising.
Yeah, they had to get it right from day one, and they didn't. And I say they, and I mean like everyone who kind of did VR.
Yeah, it wasn't just one company, person, whatever. It was just all of them. And
good times.
Here we are. Console wins again.
It seems like it. Console and traditional console and PC gameplay, mouse and keyboard, game controller, whatever your preference happens to be. It seems like that is once again won. I don't know if there'll be a third crack at VR. I feel like there probably will be, but I think we're talking about well, I don't know about you, but like, have you followed much of what Elon Musk and his crew have been doing with Neuralink?
Bits and pieces, I have.
Like, the technology around it's pretty cool, and obviously that's going to continue to develop over the years. Maybe we get to a point where it's, nothing more than putting on glasses, or potentially it's not even that. Like, it's, people have got their Neuralinks and whatever the case is, and you can kind of just hook up to something and play without there being any, which will be weird for anyone else in the household. You walk past and someone's clearly immersed in a game, but there's nothing to even suggest that they're immersed in a game. That's going to get weird, but maybe it's that sort of thing.
I'm pretty sure someone beat Elden Ring just using Neuralink.
Really?
I think so, yeah. I think
look this up.
There was this one person, pretty sure they did. This was maybe a couple of years ago, or whenever Elden Ring came out. Could have been Dark Souls as well, I can't remember.
How I play Elden Ring with my mind. Girl completes Elden Ring using mind control. I don't know if it was specifically Neuralink, but like,
I'm pretty sure it was Neuralink, because she always had problem with sort of some component that you had to keep refilling with the Neuralink, because it kept getting empty all the time. I forget what the solution was called.
I found an article from Kotaku of all places. When you tune into Twitch streamer Perry Kayel's channel, you might see her playing From Software's role-playing game Elden Ring with 14 unfamiliar black sensors stuck to her scalp. It's her, as she said during an information stream earlier today, just for fun. Oh, geez, this is a very technical term. Electroencephalogram. I don't know, butchering that. A device, something researchers use to record the brain's electrical activity, which she's repurposed to let her play Elden Ring hands-free. Oh my god.
So
I
someone
hate
has solved
FromSoft
it.
players even more.
That just takes a whole accessibility situation to a new level because you're using no hands. So that would annoy From Software people, fans, altogether because you're not using the controller. You could finally say, "Hey, look, Mum, no hands."
I'm not playing games. You didn't see me holding anything. So like that might be the time where we get some sort of virtual reality style thing returning again, but I don't think I want to entertain anything until that point because it just seems like people don't want it. People want to be able to look at a screen. People want something tactile in their hands, whether it's their Xbox control, their PlayStation controller, Switch Joy-Cons, a mouse and a keyboard, whatever it happens to be. They want that, and I mean, I don't blame them. Like, I don't mind VR, but also I say that, and I haven't taken my PSVR 2 out of its storage container since, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months after the VR 2 came out. So it's been at least a good year. When did it come out? Was it the beginning of last year or the year after?
It was like
the
the
year before.
end of last year. I feel like it was like last year. Oh no, it might not have been.
VR 2 launch.
Might have been the year before. Because clearly it would have been
February 22, 2023. So yeah, it was the beginning of last year. So it's been getting close to 18 months since PSVR 2 came out. And it's probably been at least 12 months, but yeah, probably close to 14, 15, 16 months since I've jumped into it. And it's in part because there hasn't been a super compelling range of software. It's not that there's not cool ideas, but the delivery's not great. I'm not things like Half-Life Alyx, which have been kind of stranded on PC. That was for me. That was an obvious one for Valve to go and take elsewhere, whether it's PSVR 2 and anything else that's kind of not specifically PC based. But they never did it. And I assume because it probably made them a fair bit of money from Valve indexes and those sorts of things, and all the money they make from Steam, keeping 100% of the profits. Like I kind of get it in a way, but that was a piece of software when it comes to winning over the gamers. That was a piece of software that was getting the job done. And I think going as far and wide with it as possible was the right call, but they didn't go there, and I think that's hurt a little bit. Has there been anything along the way since VR's kind of become a viable option again for people? Has there been any piece of software that's been at all compelling to you?
I was going to say something stupid.
Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Astrobot or Nintendo Switch.
Oh, what, with a cardboard box?
With the car. Oh yeah, the cardboard box things. Yes. See, that was more practical than a VR. Even though I completely forgot about that. That was also incredibly stupid, but funny at the same time because, hey, let's pay hundreds of dollars to get some cardboard and turn it into a piano.
Good times.
Okay, what's the point of that? Oh, you can play piano. You're like, just get a piano.
Get a piano.
It's probably cheaper.
Get one of those little kids ones. I've got a tiny little one floating around the house somewhere from my kids bashing on it when they were a baby.
Well, they called Lambos or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was something silly. People fell for it. That's all I know.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker.
So there's not really been anything. Like, did Half-Life prompt you to think about it for a second? What else we had? Horizon Call of the Mountain on PSVR 2. The original Astrobot. What else? Super Hot. Nothing's necessarily Beat Saber. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk Beat Saber because it's probably the biggest VR game in the world. But none of those have.
No, because the one problem is only one problem with it. It's only if you go to buy it, it's only for one game.
More often than not, yeah.
And the price of VR itself can be upwards of. I know the VR 2 was like $700, give or take.
Yep.
Or more. Just to play one game, and I'm thinking of it going, it's not worth it. Same with if you buy a Meta, Oculus, whatever, all you got to do is play Beat Saber and nothing else.
Well, right now, just for context, people, PSVR 2 in Australia, and that's without getting, I don't know, like a controller a controller charging station or anything else. The PSVR 2 is going to cost you $879 at the moment. If you then want to use that on your PC, the PSVR 2 PC adapter that I alluded to before that just came out this week is going for $94. It's a box that allows you to connect it to your computer. Yeah, for an adapter.
I thought the Apple soccer things were a rip-off. That's almost worse than Xbox bringing out their transfer cable. I brought that for $40, used it once, and never again.
I'm stunned that it's that expensive. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm because I haven't had a PC VR unit, so I've only had PlayStation VR and PSVR 2, but this does now provide me an option to play Half-Life Alyx, so I'll probably at some point get my hands on the box, even if I just borrow one off someone or I buy one, hit up PlayStation, see if they can help out, whatever it happens to be. Like I do want to get one of these because there's the opportunity to play some games that I haven't been able to play up to that point. Specifically, Half-Life Alyx is right there amongst them. But it's a lot of money on top of a very expensive unit to begin with. And then there's all the PC VR options where you need to have a pretty powerful computer in the first place, and there's a whole range of different obstacles that get in the way for meta units, whether it's Valve Index, whether it's the different others. Like it's a lot of money. I don't envy anyone. So, and don't blame anyone if they don't want to spend the money.
And all they want to do is just sit on the couch and just twiddle their thumbs on a controller.
It's so much better. At the end of the day, there's something like we've mastered the art with these things over the years. The only point of difference for people now is whether they want their sticks offset or symmetrical, like versus Xbox versus PlayStation in terms of the way they're doing it. Otherwise, we've nailed it at this point. We don't need to keep messing with things. There we go.
I think people don't want to just shit themselves with a jump scare and jump through a window by accident.
Mate, that was one of the most terrifying things I've done in my life, playing Resident Evil 7 in VR.
I would hate it.
That was awful. I mean, it was good for what it is. It was an awful experience.
And then you see those people on the internet doing VR, then jumping towards their TV and breaking their TV and all this
It's
stuff.
the Wii all over again.
It is the Wii. But not as dangerous, or more dangerous.
More dangerous, because you can't even see what you're doing.
It is not a Wii-related injury, as they once used to call it.
Oh, that was a thing, yeah.
And I too had some Wii-related injuries by serving my controller into some lights. That was that was a big one. Or swinging too hard when you didn't have to swing too hard. You could have just done a nice soft little swing instead of trying to full-on whack it like an actual tennis ball. Don't need
pretty much. Even on the meta side, for a bit of context, the MetaQuest 3, which is the most recent version of it, I can't remember. It's only probably 6 months old, I think, at most. $128 for the $799 for the 128 gigabyte unit, and for the 512 gig unit, you're paying 1,050 Aussie dollars. Plus, if you then want to hook up to the PC, you need the MetaQuest Link cable, which
$94 as well.
No, it's even worse than that. It's regular retail because it's discounted on the Amazon thing that I'm looking at the moment. Its RRP is $129, and it looks to me.
What?
I could be wrong. It looks just like a
cable,
USB-C cable, like a long one.
That just has the word Meta written on it.
Yeah, it's a 5 meter long USB-C cable. So, I get it. It provides some length, but geez, that's a lot of money.
So that's like $24 a meter. That's an expensive cable.
Yeah.
You get tiles cheaper for that. Or some carpet.
And then the various different straps, carrying cases. Like it's a lot of money. Like that's the thing. The price is a giant obstacle for people. And then going back to what we said before, there's just not the most enticing of libraries across PlayStation or PC. So why would you necessarily want to rush and do it?
So did Apple bring out some sort of VR headset too that was just, cost as much as a house?
Apple Vision.
Or you could just buy a house?
Apple Vision Pro.
like $3,000 or something. It was something beyond ridiculous.
Let me have a look.
And people just laughed at it and thought that's the stupidest thing. Only dickhead Apple fans will just buy that rubbish.
How much did you say?
About 3,000, 3.5.
Not even close.
This is like the Price is Right.
So
Five.
for there's 3 different models: the 256 gig, 512, and 1 terabyte.
Oh, 1 terabyte would be like $10,000.
The 256 gigabyte one is $6,000.
What? No, get out of here. You could build a shed for that.
Yeah, the 512 gig one only costs you an extra $400 for that. I guess the way they jack up the prices is a little bit less steep than what Meta's been doing, but still $6,349, and then the 1 terabyte one $6,699.
Still, I'd rather buy a shed.
Yeah,
That is ridiculous.
so I can't get my head around that.
I would
literally.
probably predict that that's not selling well. That's
Well,
like
there's the
free
Apple,
iPhones.
there's the Apple
iPhones.
nut bags that will do it, but
Yeah, that's
but
free
you're right.
iPhones you can buy.
And then they'll move on pretty quickly because it's a
It's
niche
shit.
product. There's no software out there. And not just on like a gaming front, but even more broadly than that. Like you see little bits and pieces. Like you see the advertising a little bit when you're watching the NBA. It seems like they have their virtual seats and those sorts of things that they want to promote, and they seem to be promoting everything through Meta there. But in principle, it all sounds good. I just think that we had another crack. Society had another crack at VR, and we're still just not quite there. It is probably the Neuralink style product or style experience that we're gonna have to wait for. Our Elden Ring player confirmed it, but also get a life.
That's not nice.
FromSoft fans
tell
are
you-
bad enough as it is, let alone using
Well-
using Neuralink to do it.
Well, I could make
It's
it
old mate
worse.
Rudism with his playing on a
Oh.
banana or whatever.
I was playing Fall Guys on jelly beans.
Yeah.
Or there was someone who played Elden Ring with a dance mat
Yeah, I remember that one.
and with a dance mat and a controller at the same time. She was playing 2 games at the same time.
It's bullshit.
Impressive. Wish I could do that. I can't even play one game.
I can't play Elden Ring with a controller just on my own with no other distractions, let alone anything else. So the worst. Some of these people.
Well, Rudism did play Elden Ring with a Fisher Price controller.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
That was quite funny.
Rudism does some good stuff. But the less we focus on Elden Ring, the better. Any other thoughts when it comes to VR? I will say RIP to Ready at Dawn. Again, they're one of the biggest VR developers out there, and for them to kind of get shut down is a bit of a shame. I'm well aware that their Lone Echo games are meant to be really, really good. Like they're meant to be some of the best VR games that are out there, but they just haven't sold. And I know maybe Meta's realised that gaming with VR is not the path that they need to pursue. That's probably just a waste of money. If VR kicks off, it won't be games that's responsible for it. So they axed them. Hopefully PlayStation can maybe, suck up to the likes of Rue and Andrea Pacino and those sorts of guys and see if they can, rope them into a PlayStation studio and get them working on, hopefully, where is it? The Order 1886 2 or Order 1887.
Oh, yes.
That'd be awesome.
Or 88. That would be great. Or just do a remake of the first one and actually make it
Put some gameplay in it.
good. Yeah, put some gameplay in it. Make it good. Exciting. Like where it had the potential to be good.
Yeah.
But we don't, unfortunately.
But yeah, sorry, any other thoughts on, I guess, VR, the future of it? We'll still see indie demos at PAX and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think when VR should get running up again is by 2 things. When we have flying cars, because we've been talking about that for 30 years. Still haven't seen any.
I saw something just
And
the other day, actually.
Yeah, the other day, you always see...
It had like a
you see
propeller.
one
and it
every
was-
now and then. Yeah, you do see them happen, but you don't... They're not in production yet.
No.
It's like, oh, here's a flying car. Like, great.
We're still trying to
What
get
are
the
you gonna do
electric
with
car right.
We haven't figured it out yet. And then also, if Tesla get their autopilot system working, which will never happen, maybe start doing some VR.
Yeah.
Or when there's world peace, maybe start some VR then. But that's never going to happen.
Or maybe jump into VR to experience what world peace might look like.
Or maybe when there's a a global financial crisis again, and you can just make VR cheap again.
The
I don't
closest we
know.
got to
It's
world
just,
peace is when everyone was playing Pokemon Go for that first weekend.
well, then it just turned into an absolute war because everyone was just running on the street, pissing everyone off for their golden Pikachu or whatever that shiny. I don't know.
Finding a
what that
Snorlax
shit
at the
is.
end of Altona Beach
Yes,
Pier,
that's the one. Yeah,
or a Lapras actually, I think it
surprised
was. It was, and it made news locally.
I'm surprised they didn't fall in. But yeah, maybe just give VR a rest for now.
Yeah.
Or maybe just go back to the drawing board and think of something like, how do we make VR better? I don't know. Don't make it heavy.
Well, it sounds like
More games. More games would be great.
got to get the software right. It seems
That's the
like
one.
we, as an industry, we seem to be trending back towards handhelds too. That seems to be where people are going to get their portable experience. Like obviously we've seen the PlayStation Portal, and that is consistently selling out, which is crazy to me as a device that is remote play only, doesn't have a local capacity. But there's lots of reports about Xbox creating something that maybe with the next gen we'll see like an Xbox Series style thing, like just one platform, and then your S equivalent will be a portable only thing. Obviously there's the Valve Steam Deck, you got the Switch, and whatever Nintendo does with the Switch 2 that we'll learn about. What are we now? We're August. In the next 6 to 8 months, we may well have this new platform, but at the very least we'll know what it is and what it's going to do, which is going to be kind of crazy as well. So handheld seems to be the way, if not the console at the moment. Certainly some of the Asian markets, Japan in particular, really loves handheld gaming. Mobile shows that. So that's probably it. That's the future, at least for now. Any other thoughts at all?
No.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Never bought a VR. Or we never will.
No.
Unfortunately.
Hopefully I can find a reason to jump in soon. There is a Metro game coming out soon for PlayStation VR. You know, Metro 2023 and 2033 and all those. Yeah. That might be cool. I'll check that out. Just need games. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode of Patch, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Visit the website, player2.net.au, for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series Patch, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks. And finally, there's Twitter, Matto.
Matto_Phil.
Paul James Games myself. The website is player2au. And until next week, probably don't waste your money with VR unit at this particular point in time. Stick to real games. We'll see you later.